The other day, I realized that while I'm watching Secret Wars next year, I'm going to get very frustrated it's not as good as Andor. Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. This is a talk video, and we're back. It's been a while since I've been able to get a talk video out. Hopefully, that's the last time we have an unplanned hiatus. One of the goals is to put in place enough infrastructure that I can just make videos. But one of the things I try to do here, since by just the nature of me having my own career, is we can't do instant reactions as quickly as the big channels, just by the nature of life. And if I don't feel like I can offer a unique perspective or a viewpoint, I don't feel like the videos add to the overall discussion, so I try to instead put in a little extra sweat behind the scenes, which is not always possible and sometimes results in a little quiet from this part of the galaxy. Today, though, we have the road ahead, and from the lead up with the last road ahead, there are no real surprises here. So we're going to be covering it, looking at the 7th anniversary rewards, the new territory battle, the rewards, all the impacts, the economy updates with gear and the old TBs, Dr. Aphra, the final requirement, Sanastaros, and we're going to start hitting on all the gearing that I've been doing in the 2 months this channel's been a little quiet with the talk videos. At the top of the road ahead, we have the 7th anniversary celebration. I can't believe this game has been around for 7 years. I've been playing for 6. I started a couple months after the first year anniversary in the January after Rogue One was released. Now this year there's a couple new things, partly because the game has changed since last year. One of those items is the free calendar that just wasn't a thing in previous years. Double drops, take advantage of these regardless of what level of a player you are. Even a player like me, I'm going after that just for the shard shop currency, plus actively working on Aphra and Jabba as goals. This brand new pack here is interesting if you are going for proving grounds right now and working on towards any of these characters. This could be a good deal. The data mine, I want to see some more specifics on the fine print of this, but it looked pretty good. These inbox gifts, we got Bosch, Skiff, Lando, Chrysanthemum, Orsing. There's some good character pieces. And then most of this is related to relics and Gear 12 Plus stuff, which is good. It looks like they have largely updated this so it is relevant to players like us and taken out some of the older things that with these economy changes will matter less than in previous years. Big thing to talk about here is going to be the territory battle update. The territory battle was first teased in the last road ahead. Now we get a few more details. I think the biggest thing CG is doing with this is transitioning territory battles to a format that doesn't have an expiration date and can grow and evolve for the long term of the game. This is good. The way I'm imagining it is it will allow for CG to change out territories, modifiers, enemies, difficulty levels in a way that allows the game to mature with less overhead from CG, which for us means more variability and a game mode that won't stagnate once rosters mature. This will be done through different paths, light side, dark side, mixed, routes, and modifiers and character emphases that can change. However, it does mean that getting access to older content may be more of a nuisance if you miss your window. I'm a completionist. I like titles, quests, and achievements. I just went to an early guild for a bit to take care of a prestigious quest. So for younger players, make sure you get the old TB content done before you move on. Otherwise, moving backwards can be a pain. Positive is this territory battle will run twice a month. So it also means getting Reva third sister can happen pretty quick. And like most things in this game, there are advantages in accomplishing goals sooner than the rest of the pack. If you aren't already working on Grand Inquisitor and you're a late game player, you should be. The road ahead gives us a breakdown of what the characters and modifiers are going to be a part of this map. There's special bonuses on specific characters like we've seen before. I expect CG to alter these in the future if I'm understanding things right, or I might just be misinterpreting this. We're not going to break this down too specifically, but I think there are some major things we can extract. So the key themes here are Rogue One, Kenobi, Jabba, Aphra, Grand Inquisitors, Scoundrels, with some mixed influence here. Look for these squads to improve over time as we unlock characters and items, and most likely have additional characters added to the game to increase some relevancy here. We won't break this down in detail, but I do want to read some tea leaves here. The characters that I want to take particular note of are Bodhi Rook, Kira, Fulcrum, Krennic, and Gar Saxon. The rest are fairly obvious. Rook, I think, has some long-term potential. He's a pain to gear. Not that it's going to matter in the long term, but it is the reality right now. And he's one I'm prepping for the future. That CG will give a purpose for everyone to need this guy. Kira and Fulcrum are interesting. Two characters who always should have meant more to the game than they have. I expect to see some increased utility for them in the future. Gar Saxon is someone I wish was an attacker, but keep in mind, next season of Mandalorian is going to be about Mandalore. So Gar Saxon's import could elevate over time, but we'll probably talk more about that in a future quarterly speculation video. But that, I think, is a clue for what to come. And Krennic, I also want to highlight, especially within the context of Andor. Imperial officers seem ripe for a larger and different role within the game. This could be a clue pointing towards that reality. With characters like Dedra Miro or Qyburn, Tarkin, we could see all of these characters become more important and separated a bit from how troopers function and get officers as their own subset within the Empire. Now, CG specifically highlights the import of Jabba, Inquisitors, Scythe, Aphra, so take note and use that as an incentive to prioritize these projects. In the what to expect section, we get some information here about the format. We've got 3 paths, play for 6 days, 1 sector per day, and what I really appreciate here is the 2 encounters, because the time investment in territory battles has become pretty excessive, especially when paired up with another game mode like Conquest that is also pretty time demanding. So I'll be looking forward to that shorter time, because it will allow me to be able to participate at a healthy level in both game modes. It's something that, if Conquest is going on at the same time, usually my TB performance has become a little lackluster. With the new territory battles, we'll also be getting Get 3 tokens as a new currency. Hoard that stuff. Pretty safe bet we'll need it for something, and you're going to want it. Maybe that'll be additional Reva shards. I do expect that's going to be capped out like what we've been seeing in other currency right now. But get ahead of it. If CG doesn't automatically give us something to spend it on, expect within 1 to 3 months we're going to know what you want that currency for. This next portion here is all about the different modifiers and planets. This is going to be similar to what we've been seeing in Conquest and Galactic Challenges, but we're going to skip most of that. I think that'll be more interesting once we're already playing the game mode. We're going to jump to the third sister Reva section. With Reva, we get some initial information on how she will function. She will be a tank. If she's a leader and used along with Grand Inquisitor, she's going to help the squad get to 6 stacks of Purge immediately, which means all characters can be using their specials right away without a reduction in their ability. And looks like she can be defeated and revived with Hatred like with Scion, but we'll explore her functionality in detail when we see her kit reveal. This next portion here on the Territory Battles update, this is part of a larger rebalancing that will help newer and younger players catch up with the late game faster. I'm hoping shards are going to be a part of this because for my alt account play, getting shards was one of the bigger obstacles for that account because at the rate at which newer players outgrow that old content. You outgrow territory battles very quickly. You outgrow guilds very quickly. So you have a very small window in which to obtain that content. And if you don't grab it then, you don't have a lot of good catch-up mechanics in that aspect to get those resources. Now this next portion here of the gear update, this is the larger piece of the rebalancing that is going to be going on. What this will largely do is trivialize most early gear, particularly for older characters and contents, and allow players, both newer and older players, to just take up their rosters to gear 11, gear 12 very quickly, and that will be the new bottleneck. Won't apply as much to newer characters because this is not going to apply to Kairos. So some of the newer marquee characters and characters released since Kairos were introduced to the game, you might have a little bit more of a slower progression on those pieces of content. Now, for most players, they're going to love this, and for the long-term health of the game, this is a great thing, and I'm happy with it from that respect. I imagine for newer players and returning players, it's discouraging to come to this game and see that a lot of the newer things going on isn't relevant to them, and under the old system wouldn't be relevant to them for up to a year or more before they can start participating like players like me can. This is going to be a strong catch-up mechanic for them. But as a free-to-play player who likes resource management, this minimizes one of my big advantages. Gearing and resource management has been one of the biggest moats I've established in the game. It allows me to have access to content that a lot of other players don't, and it doesn't work the same at Relics, which means that I am not going to have the same kinds of modes. I'm going to have to find new advantages within the game. That's fine, I can adapt, but it's something that is going to reduce a competitive advantage. What this really means is CG is shifting the bottleneck over to Kairos, Gear 12 plus pieces, and to Relic levels, as well as the Scavenger. We're going to talk more about that probably in a future video, but this gear economy change means there won't really be any hard to gear characters anymore, except when it comes to Kairos, and I kind of hate that, because at Relics, everyone is the same. And there is no strategy between characters in terms of Relic levels. So this further eliminates different ways to play the game, which has been a common thing in my gripes. Now, if you have ignored Inquisitors, this means Kairos will be the only gear piece stopping your development of them, largely, until Relics. The biggest deterrent to working on this faction has been the gear demands, and that is pretty much eliminated except for that one piece. Because if we're taking a character from Gear 12 to Relics, Inquisitors are barely different than any other character. Other part to note is how the acceleration is going to adjust the Salvager. With the economy changes, this is going to be similar to how the shard shop currency was changed when the shard economy changes and acceleration was introduced to the game in that format. The final major part of the road ahead here is about Dr. Aphra and Sanostaros. This is being formally announced now, but the final requirement was leaked previously. I think I'll be putting out a video about leaks and speculation coming up soon. There's some thoughts on it that I feel like getting into, especially because of the amount of leaks that we've been seeing recently. The event will be like Star Killer. It's going to be available right away and stay permanently within the journey guide. These types of characters are worth making a priority. We're talking a fraction of the resource and time investment of a GL with an impact that is a little below a GL but still very significant. These are quick ways to get advantages over opponents. I'll be racing for Aphra. I'm already preparing for both Jabba and Aphra unlocks ASAP. The road ahead does make it clear that Aphra will be dark side but have a lot of scoundrel synergy, and she'll have a 5v5 Grand Arena Ami, which is good and bad because what we have here is a team that potentially needs 3 Omicrons if you want to use them in both 5v5 and 3v3 Grand Arenas. The Aphra one will probably be the one that is a no-brainer. The 3v3 Amis, you need one on both 000 and BT1, and I don't think that is ideal. I don't like it because I'm afraid that this could be a sign of things to come. I hope these types of Amis are the exception, because that is fun, like what we had with the Tuscans. I'm fine with these 3v3 ones if we only see them on a few characters. But if they start to become the rule, I think that could potentially be bad for the game. And it's something I'm just paying attention to. This might not mean anything, but maybe it does. Something that I just want to highlight. Last thing they announce is this user interface experience thing about the territory battles. It's fine. We're already seeing that. It looks nice. I don't really have more to say or to opine on it than that. Now for our usual wrap up, this is the free to play gearing of my roster. We did this gearing on September 10th. We're going into this one a little blind. It's been a little bit since I've done this, but I did label the file Jabba, so it's probably Bosch and related things. Kiadi here got the 7th star in time for the new TB battle, so that's nice. Did not take him up to gear 12, but I did put on this Omega here because the taunt I do find to be a little annoying for some of those Qui-Gon counters, especially when you do a dual tank thing. We got the 6th star on Radis, and I did unlock the Profundity in September, so those final 100 shards I had to do a lot of work to unlock, We put the Zeta on Paplu. That was for the Galactic Challenge. I have always had gold or red crate in the Galactic Challenges, and I need to continue that streak. The Ami on Savage I put on right away. That one was a no-brainer to me. It's been great. It was great at gear 12. It's even better at Relics. I did 2 seasons testing it at gear 12, 5v5 and 3v3, and now in this current 3v3 season took him up to relics, low relics for testing. Mob Enforcer here with the touch-up. Putting on a couple final pieces. We're going after Jabba quickly, so pieces like that I would normally leave off, I was fine putting on. And with these bad characters or pre-touch-up characters, I leave Omegas off, but now that she's been reworked, threw them on. I've gotten a lot of use out of her in Hut Cartel squads, and Hut Cartel has been solid, even with 3-star Bosch and Skiff Lando. Bosch here was soon after the release, so throwing the Zeta on, which is pretty important, and taking her up to gear 11. As I recall, she was a fairly easy to gear character, not too many Kairos on her. Not that gearing means too much anymore, but you get the idea. She did have some annoying pieces. I guess it doesn't matter anymore. And then the final aspect here, there's the status of the Profundity. Those final 100 shards, I started doing the 100 crystal refreshes on those shards to unlock him in time. Because we had 3 weeks to finish him off, or maybe 2.5 weeks to finish him off. And it was a race to complete that goal. And we will wrap it up here. Now that we're back into things, I've passed some of the life deadlines that were slowing me down in my production. We do want to talk about the leaks. We're going to probably do that in relation to the quarterly speculation video that I'm a month and a half behind on. There's a lot of overlap there, and I think there's some thoughts that I'd like to address in regards to that, especially with what we might be seeing or might not be seeing. And then the Scythe, I think we're going to do a kit analysis on, even though it's been a while since that was announced. With it not in the game yet, I think it's still relevant to think about how that is going to be impacting the game, especially with TV making it pretty clear that it's going to be a pretty important ship. But we'll wrap it up here. Thank you for watching. Be safe out there, everyone. Be excellent to each other. This is Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.